This is a carburetor, and this is a special 3D printed see-through carburetor, and this is a high-speed camera with a macro lens on it. You see where this is going. If you've ever cranked some type of lawn care product with a small engine on it, you have interacted at some point with a carburetor. The question is, what does this little device do? Yes, it mixes air and fuel together, but how? I want to understand how it works. As a mechanical engineer, I thought I had an understanding of carburetors until the day I went to visit my dad, who was replacing a carburetor on his tiller. My dad is a really good teacher, and he has a really good understanding of how mechanical things work. So I decided to suspend everything I thought I knew about carburetors and just ask him to teach me from the ground up.
Teach me.
What followed was a 45-minute lesson on everything about carburetors.
That's the main jet of the carburetor. See the holes in the side? Bowl. You got gasoline in there. Float. See the needle going up and down right there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's the throttle right there. You can see that. Choke, you're running open right there. The suction, the intake, when the cylinder goes down.
It's a vacuum.
It sucks air through here, your finger right there. The vacuum will pull this open. The valve closes in the cylinder. The compression stroke comes up, compresses the gasoline. The spark plug fires, pushes it back down.
So my dad gave me a master class in how carburetors work. What I'm going to do is try to explain in brief detail what he taught me, and then we'll move on to the see-through carburetor where I think you can understand it a little bit better. So most carburetors are either aluminum or thermoplastic. So let's look at this aluminum here. Most carburetors have some things that all look familiar, like you've got some kind of little turny thing here. On this side you got another little floppy-do. And down here, if you take off the bottom, you can see that there's some type of container on the bottom and a little thing on the inside, right? All this looks kind of normal. Like if you've ever looked at an engine, you've seen stuff that looks like this. The thermoplastic version, kind of the same way, okay? So what I want to draw your attention to is there's two main components to a carburetor. There's the top part and the bottom part. And the top part is called the venturi, and the bottom part is called the bowl. So in order to understand this, I tried to figure out if I could find a see-through carburetor, and I found two different versions. Number one, I actually found a see-through carburetor on the internet. The problem is, the guy that sold it to me made me promise I wouldn't run gasoline through this. It was for teaching only, and I'm a man of my word, so we're not gonna run gasoline through this carburetor. So I was left to try to find other sources for see-through carburetors, and I found one on the internet. There's a young man in Pennsylvania. He created this. It's basically a see-through venturi, which is part of a carburetor, but it didn't quite do what I wanted, which was to show the complete inner workings of the carburetor. So at this point, it's clear we're gonna have to make our own see-through carburetor. And remember, there's two components of the carburetor, right? Okay, first let's talk about the venturi. If you are like me and you have really old books on your shelf, you might have one that explains carburetors in great detail and explains that a venturi is a really cool thing where you take fluid that's flowing through a pipe. If you neck it down at some point to a smaller cross-sectional area, the static pressure at that point, at the throat, decreases, creating kind of like a vacuum in that one spot. Well, that can be used to suck fuel up into the venturi. All right, so let's look at that. So the venturi part of the carburetor is for sucking the fuel up into the line. The second part of the carburetor, the bowl, is for holding the fuel. So after a lot of collaboration, conversations, and actual engineering meetings, we came up with a 3D printed solution for a see-through carburetor. It consists of a laser 3D printed housing, which incorporates both the venturi and the bowl, and we removed a float and needle from a thermoplastic carburetor made by Briggs & Stratton. We laser cut a front cover that would allow you to see the entire thing, and then we 3D printed a choke and throttle lever out of PLA plastic. So this is the 3D printed see-through carburetor. On an earlier episode of Smarter Every Day, I described a see-through engine, and we actually got to see the combustion happen inside the cylinder. Basically, there's 4 strokes to a 4-stroke engine. You have the intake stroke, which is where it's pulling in fuel-air mixture into the cylinder. After that, you have the compression stroke, which compresses the fuel-air mixture, and then you have the ignition at the spark plug, which creates the power stroke driving down the piston, and then the valve at the top opens and you push out the exhaust out of that valve and you start the whole thing over again. You have intake, compression, power, exhaust. Intake, compression, power, exhaust. The interesting thing about the intake stroke is that it is a vacuum. It is sucking air into the engine, and what we can do is we can take advantage of that. Hang with me, this is a little bit complicated. So this is the carburetor, and let's assume the engine is out here to the right. It's taking advantage of the fact that the intake stroke has a vacuum, and it makes air want to flow this way into the engine. So once air starts flowing this way, what happens is air comes in this side, and it starts necking down into the venturi there. Like we said in our book earlier, where flow is high, pressure's low. And so if you have gasoline down here in the bowl, down here, all full up right here, what you do is you have a little bitty pipe right here, like a straw, that goes up and goes into the center of the venturi. And what that does is that creates a little bitty jet of liquid that comes up right here because of that vacuum. And then once that happens, it mixes and then it goes downstream into the engine like this. So basically you have nothing but air on this side, you've got the fuel coming up here, and then you have a mixture that goes from here forward. That's basically what a carburetor does. The choke and the throttle up top, that's the flappy things we were showing earlier. That's the choke and that's the throttle. Basically what they do is control the mixture that goes to the engine. If you close off the choke and you restrict the amount of air that goes down into the venturi, then you can create what's called a rich mixture, meaning the mixture that goes to the engine is rich in gasoline. You might want to do that if you're starting the engine and it's having a hard time firing up. If you want to lean the mixture like this, that means the mixture downstream is lean of gasoline. And there are different reasons to do different things, but if you have an ideal mixed choke right here and you have full throttle, then you're going to have great chemistry downstream and it's going to make the engine run really, really fast. So these are the two controls that most carburetors have, and this is basically the simplest design for a carburetor that can exist. So let's go get Dad to show us how to use this thing and see if we can catch it in slow motion. The first thing we had to do is actually hook the gas line up to the carburetor.
Okay, I'm going to open the fuel. Here goes.
And it'll just fill up.
It should.
Oh, it's doing it. I don't know why.
Didn't you know that's what the bowl was for?
No, I did not know that was what was going to happen.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's obvious now that you do it. Fuel flows in here, and when the float starts to float, it moves this needle, which presses into the seat and stops the flow of fuel into the bowl, so you always have the right amount. Now, backfiring is an issue, right?
It is an issue, and how about getting this?
Ready to go?
Yeah, because we spilled some gasoline a few minutes ago.
So if a backfire happens, if I understand correctly, fire is going to come backwards back into the carburetor, and we did not pressure test this carburetor.
Right.
So this could explode, and all this gas could be on fire and go around us, right?
Hopefully not. As a matter of fact, open the door just a little bit to let whatever vapors here on the floor go out.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh, I saw some vapor.
Did you?
On the intake stroke, yeah, we're gonna see it. Oh, it's running. Okay, I triggered. We can kill it. Kill it, yeah. You can see the vapor in the intake.
Can you?
Yeah, you can.
Oh.
Did you see it?
No.
What do you mean you didn't see that?
I was looking for fire. Okay, did you catch it with the?
I don't know. I think I hit the buttons.
It was running rich and sputtering, sput. So I opened the choke up so it'd lean out the mixture and it started running smoother.
Like it was actually supposed to be used?
Well, yeah, that's where it's supposed to work. I didn't know there'd be bubbles and things here.
Oh, look at that.
Look at
You see it?
Yep. You can see air fuel mixture going in the combustion chamber.
This is intake.
No,
Fire
intake
is when it's sucking in.
Right.
Intake.
Yeah.
Fire.
Intake valve closes. Fire.
Exhaust stroke.
Yes.
Another intake.
Right.
So can you run 2 cylinders off of one carburetor?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Or 3 or 4. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The carburetor, all it does is mix fuel and air, and yeah, you got one carburetor runs 8 cylinders.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So it's running really, really fast.
Each cylinder sucks in what it can use, burns it, sucks in only what it can use.
Volumetrically.
Right. Now, my motorcycle has a carburetor for each cylinder, and you have to balance those.
Because if you have one that's hitting harder because it's getting a different...
Right, it won't run smooth at all.
So the advantage of running multiple cylinders off of one carburetor is you get the same stoichiometric mixture throughout.
Yes.
You can see the vortex behind the throttle. Do you see that?
You can. Oh, it is. It is. Turbulent flow is a vortices turbulence.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just trying to get me riled up because you know Derek might watch this video.
Yeah. I like Derek.
I like Derek too. What would you change on this design, like now? What would you change?
I would make the controls stiffer so that when you put them in position, they would hold themselves.
Okay.
The engine sucks the throttle open, yes.
Oh, does it?
It does run away. If you don't physically restrain it, it gets faster and faster and faster.
Really?
There's no governor, yes. It's trying to pull that open, and I'm holding it there so that it does not, because I don't want it to
Run away.
Right. You feel how tough it is to move this?
Yes.
It's difficult to move on purpose.
I understand carburetors now.
Better?
Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess nobody actually 100% understands.
Well, I
it.
couldn't do what I wanted to do. I could not make it run because it wouldn't hold its setting in the position. But, man, it worked.
So when you just went wide open, would it run wide open?
Well, I didn't want it to run away.
Try it. We got a fire extinguisher.
Well, you got centrifugal forces. You can tear the engine up. You can run way too fast. You've got governors, you got throttles, you got control in a factory-built carburetor that we don't have here. I could get hurt? We could tear the engine all to pieces
Okay.
by supplying more. It'll run faster than it's designed to run. Can you zoom into that?
Yes, sir, I can. I can get a tighter lens. We can zoom in and we can see the fuel come up into the Venturi, and then we can
Get
see it
blown away.
vaporize.
Get
Yes.
blown away.
You'll do that?
Yeah.
Let's run it steady state as fast as you're comfortable.
I'll try to, but I can't. I'm going to have to put a finger right there. I think it'll just start right now without a choke. I
Put
think
a
it's
finger or a finger?
A finger?
Got it. Almost kill it.
That's a good carburetor.
So the fuel is coming up into the jet. That's the main jet, right?
Where's that entering? Right there?
Yes, it's coming straight up in the middle of Venturi, and then
Yeah.
the intake blows
Air.
air across it. Look at all the stuff dancing down there. Let's run it again and just look at the top of the fuel in the bowl. I just want to see what that looks like. The mechanical oscillations are way more violent than I expected.
Well, the engine's running pretty fast right there. Each time you see a shake is a stroke, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
I think it's a vibration mode. I think it's a harmonic.
You think it's a tuning fork?
I do.
Well, there should be intake, compression,
Power stroke.
power stroke, exhaust. So you
Yes.
should have 4 strokes for each. And you do have, if you look at it right there. 1, 2, 3, suck. 1, 2, 3, suck. 1, 2, 3, suck. Top dead center and bottom dead center.
You're pretty smart for a redneck.
Well, that's why they call it 4-stroke.
Okay, so now we understand the carburetor on a macro level. We have built a functioning carburetor, which is awesome. But now what we need to do is, I want to see the tight stuff. Like, what happens when that jet of fuel comes up and the air intake comes over the top of it? What does that look like? All right. Got it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
That was a
It's suspended, that drop of fuel is suspended in the air, and then the suction comes and breaks it all up. Derek is gonna love that.
Because of turbulence.
Yes. That's changing a laminar coming in here too, turbulent. Ooh.
Converging, diverging nozzle. So a carburetor is just a rocket nozzle. It's a rocket nozzle, that's what it is. I mean, you're speeding up.
Watch it. Oh.
It's a little drop and...
Yep. Carburetor tries to do is increase the surface area on a molecular level, right? Or
What do you mean?
in order to get full and complete combustion, you need all the surface area that you can get of the fuel.
Because ideally you have an oxygen molecule right next to a fuel molecule. So now I'm going to get what happens right when you pull the rope for the first time. When there's no fuel in the carb to when fuel goes in. I'm going to see what that looks like. Got it.
Getting some air from somewhere.
It's fun that we almost couldn't turn it off. There's a little bit of risk here.
Perpetual motion machine.
Oh, look at this.
What?
So on the intake stroke here, you can see the rope. How cool is that? You can see the rope in the foreground and you see the carburetor and the... I could not have imagined a shot like this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Pam, pam, pam.
Time to mill those out of aluminum, I think. That's PLA, so I bet that PLA is getting broken down by the petroleum.
The gasoline. Because it wasn't that flimsy to begin with.
You can see the fuel coming up in the straw in the jet. Look at that. You can see you see that. The flow rate there. You can see everything. For the next shot, we wanted to see if we could shoot the high speed down the throat of the Venturi. So Trent jumped in to help because we needed more hands. Just pop the choke out and then we're just gonna look straight down the barrel.
I think you need to block about 3/4 or at least half of it. Yeah.
All right, so that's gonna lean our mixture, right?
Yep.
Are you pulling focus?
I'm gonna have to once it's running.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to meter it with your finger there.
Yeah. So I'll meter it with my finger and you grab the throttle. The throttle's wide open right now, but it shuts off automatically. So if you'll grab it and shove it back the other way.
That way?
Keep it there, yeah. Got it?
I'm in trouble with my head. Hold on.
I can literally throttle it with my thumb.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I can't focus with your thumb.
Ready?
Yep. All right.
You get it?
I think so.
Die, engine. I don't want you to have any. Oh, I'm getting it. Oh my goodness.
There's your vapor. There's your vapor.
I saw the vapor.
There's a vapor right there. Got it?
Where, coming out?
No, in the intake manifold.
Oh yeah. Whoa. That's vapor.
Yep.
Okay, so
Vapor going
what
away.
just happened is Dad cranked it. I choked it with my hand. He was operating throttle. For a second there, we were vibing.
We were in sync. Yeah.
so I was running choke. Dad was running throttle. Trent was trying to frame the shot. Oh! I just hit your mic. It flattens the dropout.
It does. It does.
It flattens the dropout and it distributes it. Look at it! I now have a three-dimensional understanding of how a carburetor intake air interacts with the fuel coming up in the main jet.
That was worth it.
This journey started by simply asking my dad how carburetors work, and by taking the time to build and operate one by hand, we learned that the design of a carburetor is simple yet very complex, and the fluid dynamics at play are downright beautiful. So I know a lot of times when you get to the ad portion of a video, people kind of like click away. They're like, oh, I'm not interested in that. But I want to tell you why I chose to work with this particular sponsor for this particular video. When I look at a complicated concept like a carburetor, that's a very difficult thing to understand. So one thing I like to do is I like to build hands-on models and understand what's going on by playing with all the variables and getting to the point where I have a fundamental understanding of the concepts. Well, the sponsor for this video is Brilliant. Brilliant is a website and app that has over 60 courses with hands-on interactive content so you can understand really interesting topics like math, science, computer science, all kinds of stuff. This is a hands-on approach to learning, and this is the way that my brain works. Brilliant has a really interesting course that I've started. It's a Python course, and it's different than just reading a book and going through examples. You actually have an online hands-on coding box, and you can manipulate the concepts in the box, and you can write code for yourself and troubleshoot it. There you go. All right. So I'm learning. I'm excited about it. So if you would like to try this, go to brilliant.org/smartereveryday. Check out all the courses. They have stuff in logic, special relativity. Whatever you're interested in learning, this will help you go through and understand the concepts to the point where you have an understanding of the topic at hand. I think you'll enjoy it. So go check it out. Brilliant.org/smartereveryday. Sign up for free. Also get a 20% discount on the premium membership. I like to learn in a hands-on fashion. If you're watching this video, chances are you do too. I think you'll really enjoy it. So brilliant.org/smartereveryday. I hope you enjoyed learning about carburetors with me. This is a fantastic device. It's interesting. The carburetors suck, as my dad says, but you get the Venturi, you get the bowl. I just really like understanding how things work, and I hope you enjoyed that as well. Feel free to subscribe if you feel like this video has earned it. If not, that's no big deal. I do think you would enjoy seeing the second channel where I get to talk to my dad in greater detail, and you get to see the light bulb come on in my mind as he explains everything to me. Dad's a great teacher. So feel free to go check that out on the second channel. Feel free to subscribe if you're into that. If not, no big deal. I'm just glad you're here. I want to say thanks to all the patrons for supporting Smarter Every Day. Let me do topics that I enjoy myself, and I'm grateful for you. Anyway, that's it. I'm Destin. You're getting smarter every day. Have a good one. Bye. What do you think, Dad?
It's a lot of work, is what I think. It's not as fun as what I thought it would be from a distance. When I'm sitting at the keyboard and reading comments, it's fun, but taking the video shots, I don't even want to think about editing. There are not many people that I know can say that they have made a carburetor from scratch.
I wouldn't necessarily call this scratch.
But now people who actually work on small engines could give you a lot more educated words than what you're getting.
I don't want a person that is paid to work on small engines. I want to learn about carburetors from my dad.
You could have picked anybody going down the street.
I think you're doing all right.
And got more information.
I think you're doing just fine.